excited to join me today is pleasing. But knowing that you remember what we studied last time would be overwhelming. Let's see. Let's review our lesson on the accessibility and effectiveness of various sources of information. I want you to identify what is described in each number. Number 1, it is described as the degree to which something is successful in producing a desired result. Is it letter A, reliability, B, credibility, C, accessibility, or letter D, effectiveness? Good! You remembered. The answer is D, effectiveness. Number 2, it is a kind of document written by experts or scholars that discusses results of scholarly works like research. Is it letter A, scholarly article, B, news or magazine, C, reference material, or letter D, government document? Correct! It's letter A, scholarly article. Number 3, this kind of information source contains the most recent information or opinions. Letter A, book, B, reference material, C, government document, or letter D, news or magazine article. If your answer is D, you're brilliant! It is news or magazine article. This information accessibility focuses on the visual input presented using an additional description of the information in order for images to be useful for all. Letter A, text accessibility, B, audio accessibility, C, video accessibility, or letter D, image accessibility. Fantastic! The answer is B, image accessibility. The following are tips on how to achieve text accessibility in a material except blank. Letter A, use simple colors that complement each element. B, use good contrast and readable font size. Letter C, put too much information in one place only. Or letter D, place the most important detail in the top portion of the material or as the heading. Did you say letter C, put too much information in one place only? Great! You got it right! You're absolutely impressive! I'm overwhelmed and convinced that we could now advance to our new lesson. Are you ready? Cool! Let's jump into the world of new English learnings. Today, we will study the importance of analytical listening in problem solving. Oftentimes, we mistake listening for hearing, and vice versa. But do you know their difference? Hearing and listening have almost similar meanings. They only differ with the effort you put in it. Hearing is simply the act of perceiving sound by the ear. This is passive, meaning you don't put any effort in. Oh! Could you hear that noise? I could hear that too! See? We don't put any effort in it, but we notice it. That is hearing. On the other hand, listening is when you put the effort or pay attention to what you are hearing. This is an active skill that requires concentration. You listen to me because you are paying attention to what I say. You listen to get information and to get an understanding of the topic. Again, hearing is a passive skill that does not require conscious effort since it is involuntary, while listening is an active skill that requires conscious effort and is voluntary. Hearing is a physical ability, while listening is a skill. Clear? Great! Today, we will listen to an audio recording to test your listening ability. But before that, let's unlock the difficult words that you will encounter in your listening activity later. Identify the vocabulary words defined in each number. Your choices are felon, peddler, enormity, purveyor, and inaptitude. Number 1, it is a person who sells, supplies, or deals in particular goods. Good! It is a purveyor. Example sentence: my aunt finally found a trustworthy wholesale purveyor for her clothing business. Number 2, it refers to the fact of ineffectiveness or not being skilled. Amazing! It is inaptitude. Mr. Cruz immediately fired John when he noticed his inaptitude at work. Number 3, it is a person who moves from one place to another to deal in or promote something that is intangible, like a personal asset or an idea. That's right! It is a peddler. Example: the police officers arrested the peddler who sells counterfeit watches. Number 4, it refers to the great or extreme seriousness or extent of something perceived as bad or immoral. Very good! It is enormity. Let's use enormity in a sentence. Many people persevere despite the pandemic and the enormity of its overwhelming impacts. Number 5, it is an individual who has committed a serious crime. Great! It is a felon. Example sentence: Brutus was considered a felon for killing his friend Caesar. You really are amazing me, grade 10. Now, as our first activity, I want you to listen carefully to and examine the excerpt of the State of the Nation address of President Rodrigo Roa Duterte on July 27, 2020. My countrymen, it is sad that while government focuses its attention and resources to battle the coronavirus, there are those who take advantage of a preoccupied government. The dealers and purveyors of illegal drugs, hiding in the shadow of COVID-19, have stepped up their activities. The amount of shabu valued at millions of pesos seized during police operations speak volumes of the enormity and weight of the problem that we bear. The corrupt, the grafters, and the influence peddlers also take advantage of the fear and confusion that the coronavirus generates. The financial and material assistance of the government to the unemployed, the sick, and the destitute running into billions of pesos are not spared from corruption and ineptitude. Even the donations from well-meaning private persons are skimmed before reaching their intended beneficiaries. It is like snatching food from the mouths of babes. The profiteers, overpricers, and corrupt felons must be laughing while they stash their dirty monies. But not for long. They cannot outrun the long arm of the law. If we allow greed, self-interest, and ambition to rule us, then, as stated by one prominent physician, we will be left with nothing better than the lesser evil instead of the greater good. The efforts and resources which we poured out produced the momentum needed to bring our country closer to our goals. Suffice it to state, we made significant strides over time. Now, answer the following questions in your notebook. Number 1, what information is provided by the text? Number 2, what is a State of the Nation address or SONA? Number 3, by mandate, who is tasked by the Constitution to deliver a SONA? Number 4, when and where should a SONA be delivered? And number 5, what problems were identified by the President in his SONA? You have a minute to finalize your answers. Number 1, what information is provided by the text? The text is about President Rodrigo Roa Duterte's 5th State of the Nation address or SONA on July 27, 2020. What is a State of the Nation address or SONA? A State of the Nation address or SONA is a constitutional obligation and yearly tradition wherein the chief executive reports the status of the country, unveils the government's agenda for the coming year, and proposes to Congress certain legislative measures. Number 3, by mandate, who is tasked by the Constitution to deliver a SONA? A SONA is a constitutional duty of the current President of the Philippines. Number 4, when and where should the SONA be delivered? As stated in the 1987 Philippine Constitution, the SONA should be delivered every 4th Monday of July at the plenary session hall of the Batasang Pambansa in Quezon City. And number 5, what problems were identified by the President in his SONA? Apart from the battle of the nation against the COVID-19, President Duterte discussed the unlawful actions done by some individuals to take advantage of the preoccupied government. He mentioned that the dealers and purveyors of illegal drugs, the corrupt and grafters, the influence peddlers, and the profiteers and overpricers cannot outrun the long arm of the law for good and will be punished soon. He also guaranteed the Filipino people that he will do everything to protect them to the best of his ability. Do you wonder how you got them right? Well, that's all because you exhibited analytical listening and understanding the speech. But what is analytical listening? Analytical listening, sometimes referred to as critical listening, deals with one's ability and capacity to carefully and properly analyze the sounds heard. This does not only involve comprehension on what has been heard, but more importantly, the ability to distinguish and categorize the information listened to. This is also called active listening, as it requires the listener to provide a significant and evaluative response or feedback on what he or she has heard from the speaker or the sound platforms. Here, the listener is able to rephrase or restate the information heard to check his understanding. Analytical listening requires a sequential process. These stages include: number 1, receiving stage. This refers to the actual hearing process. Here, the listener has to check himself if he is able to hear the sounds and other sound points clearly. Number 2, understanding stage. This one focuses on generating meaning from what has been heard. In this stage, the connection or communication between the listener and the speaker must be clearly established. This constitutes the idea that the understanding of the speaker must be the same as the listener's. Number 3, evaluating stage. This requires both the listener and the speaker to meet in between regarding the points portrayed in the listening process. This allows the listener to critically examine the details of the information heard. This provides the time for information segregation. Number 4, responding stage. This phase allows the listener to provide verbal and/or non-verbal feedback and responses based on the listening contexts. Number 5, remembering stage. This is a personal stage for the listener that allows him to integrate himself in the information heard. This allows him to record in his system the information listened to for future access and use. In case you missed them, again, the analytical listening process starts with receiving, followed by understanding. Next is evaluating, then responding, and finally, remembering. Keep in mind that good listening skills make us more productive. And productivity is crucial not just for school, but also in relation to life in general, because it leads us to growth. It allows us to accomplish more from the limited resources that we have. Our ability to listen analytically allows us to better understand the lessons, activities, and assignments given to us and everything around us. Always remember, learning English may be difficult at first, but if you put your heart in it, you will surely love it. I am Ma'am Carla, Heart Your Service.